Hey everybody, how's it going? So with the new year coming up, it is time that we talk about time, or more specifically the calendar. So for a long time we've used, I believe it's the Gregorian calendar, and I think before that we used the Julian, and it obviously has its issues. Many cultures all around the world have used different calendar systems. One of the most famous ones probably being the Maya. But I've got a simple calendar here that is obviously much better than our current calendar. And I'm definitely not the first person to have thought of this. There's a lot of other people who influenced my idea or basically made up the same exact thing. And I'm pretty much copying them. So by no means is this exclusively mine. But I think I did refine it in a couple little ways. And I have some ideas about holidays, which will be the controversial part. I think the calendar itself is pretty simple and obviously better. So let's jump right into it. So, like I said, it's very simple. So basically, you have 13 months, or you could call them months, because they would almost coincide with the full moon, but not quite. It's very difficult to have a solar and a lunar calendar. It's impossible for them to line up exactly. You can do one or the other. They just don't line up exactly. So, anyway, you have 13 months and they're each 28 days. And people will say, well, that isn't 365 days. No, it's not. That's 364 days. So, you're going to need to add one day at the end of the year. Easy. That day can be a holiday. I say, so the holiday part, like I said, might people might disagree with me more about the holidays because I got a lot of ideas about holidays. But yeah, 13 months, each is 28 days. We use a 24-hour clock. I think that just makes more sense, starting with 0 at midnight and progressing through to 24. So, yeah, 28 days, 13 months. Great thing about this. Let's say we'll start the week on a Sunday, right? So every single first of the month will always be a Sunday. Every eighth of the month will always be a Sunday. Always. Every month, every single month, every year. It doesn't Our calendar, you end up with, sometimes the first is a Monday, sometimes it's a Tuesday, sometimes it's a Wednesday. With this calendar, it is always the same. So people eventually, after using this for a while, people would just know, oh, the first, oh yeah, that's a Sunday. And one thing I would do with the holidays is I would try to match them up with, we would do holidays typically on Fridays or on Mondays, so people can get that long weekend. Without having to screw with the calendar. And the holidays would always be on the same day every year because this calendar, the days do not drift back and forth. So that's pretty easy, right? And then yeah, again, we add at the end of the 13th month, the last month, the 13th month has 29 days instead of 28 every year. Um, and that would just be, so we actually need a new name. We need, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we need two new names for two new days of the week. So I think that would be something fun that people could vote on. And, we could figure out collectively as a human species, or each language group could make up their own. But that'd be kind of fun. Now, why do we need two new days of the week when I only said there's one? Well, on leap years, the 13th month wouldn't have 29, it would have 30 days. Because you do need to do a leap year every 4 years because the Earth actually goes around the sun in 365.24. I believe it's 0.24. I'm going to look it up right now. How long is a Earth year? Exactly. And I'll do a bigger video about this if people find this interesting. So, an Earth year, the time it takes the Earth to go around the sun is 365 days, 5 hours, 49 minutes, and 1.1 seconds long. So, the leap year thing is good, but it's not perfect, right? Because it's not It's not 0.25 days. So it's not exactly a quarter. It's slightly less than a quarter. And there are people, there is, I think the guy's name is Stephen. He's a British mathematician. I will link in the description all these videos of all the other people. There's been some TED Talks about this. This guy, Steven, talked about how to fix the leap year and make it even better. And basically, his idea was since it's 0.24 instead of 0.25 of a year, every X amount of years, I can't remember how much it was, I think it was multiple hundreds of years, you would skip a leap year. Well, I have a different idea. I don't know if it's as an elegant of a solution or not. But my idea, since it's not exactly a quarter of a day, it's slightly less. The idea of this calendar is to be more aligned with the cosmos and keep calendar drift from happening. And what I would do is just every 4 years, you have your leap year, you have your 30th day instead of your 29th day on the 13th month. Um, I would have the clock. So it's going to be, 23:59 because you're using a 24-hour clock. So right when it's about to roll over to midnight, and start the new day of the new year. We would have an international body of chronologists, of time managers who would help adjust and look at the cosmos, and and it may even, I think it even fluctuates sometime year to year. The Earth doesn't always exactly do that number I just quoted there. So instead of rolling 23:59 on New Year's, it might roll over, instead of becoming zero, it might roll over to 23:57 or 23:58. So basically you're adding, or you're reducing a little bit, you're cutting a little bit of time out, because it to make it line up. Now people would say, well, that would be confusing for people who don't have the internet or clocks or whatever, because we have our, if you have your smartphone, you just look at it and it does it for you automatically. But what about people who don't have phones and the internet? Well, I think, so I'm specifically thinking about like the native groups I work with in the Amazon and the Andes who don't have smartphones. I would say a couple minutes difference for them is probably going to be 90 seconds, or I haven't done the math exactly, but I don't think it's going to matter for them. 2 or 3 minutes, or however much it is, it's really not going to matter. And whenever they go into the market or whatever, they'll figure it out. So yeah, on the leap year, I would sort of make sure every leap year that the clock and the calendar are as perfectly aligned with the cosmos as they possibly can be. So that's the basic idea of the calendar. Not, like I said, I didn't make this up. I just kind of got these ideas from other people. So 13 months of 28 days each. Super nice because the dates always are the same. The first is always a Sunday. The eighth is always a Sunday. Wednesday is always X date. 13 months, 28 days. On the 13th month, you have an extra day, which would be a holiday. Everybody would take time off and enjoy themselves. And then once every 4 years, the 13th month would have 30 days. And at midnight on that final day, we would slightly adjust the calendar to line up to be perfect with the Earth and the cosmos and the leap days. So that, I think, is pretty simple. I think it's much more elegant than having, what some of our months have 30 days, some have 31, and usually they alternate. But then there's a couple months that have 30 or 31 days in a row, and then February has 28. So if you say, this sounds complicated, think about the calendar we have now. That's not complicated. 30 days and sometimes 31 sometimes, and they skip, and you do the knuckle thing where and then one has 28 and then it's 20. Yeah, if this is complicated, the calendar we have now is worse. All right, so the other part is the holidays, and this would be more controversial. One thing I would try to do, and I just have a list here, and these are just ideas. And again, this is something we should, as a species, talk about and agree upon. Excuse me. And of course, different cultures will have different holidays, obviously. But I'm thinking about where I live in the U.S. Most of the time. So one thing I would do that I think makes a lot of sense is my New Year's, the first day of the year, would be on the spring equinox because I think, spring seems like the beginning of life, and then you have summer, which is sort of mid or early life. Fall, things are getting cooler, and the leaves are starting to fall, and then winter would be death, and then spring is rebirth. I think it's obvious. And actually, back, I believe in the Gregorian calendar, I think, one they used in the Middle Ages, they actually had April 1st. So this is something that Western, European society has done before. They actually used to have the first of the year be on April 1st. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So spring equinox would be the first of the year. That would be day one. Now you say, well, okay, so the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, because it's opposite. The northern hemisphere. Why? Because most of the population of Earth, I think it's like over 90%, lives in the northern hemisphere. So we're going to bias to the northern hemisphere because that's where most of the landmass is and where most of the people are. So we're just choosing the northern hemisphere, but there is a reason because most of the population lives there. So we got New Year's on the spring solstice, which is currently March 21st, but on this calendar it would be day one. And we'd have a celebration, renewal, rebirth celebration. The flowers are beginning to come out in some of the more southerly regions of the northern hemisphere or near the equator. So, and then the other thing I would try to do is just distribute the holidays more evenly, instead of having we have, like, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and they're all crammed together. They're not. I'd like to sprinkle the holidays out a little bit more. So my next one says February. We currently have February. I'm sorry, Valentine's Day in February. I would put Valentine's Day like in like April, because I think, again, that's when all the birds are singing, the flowers are blooming, and I think that represents love, and obviously it represents literal biological breeding and animals, coming together to breed, which is involved in love. Anyway, the holidays are just ideas. These are just fun little ideas to play with, and people could we could debate these endlessly. Um, so for March, I've got written down. We have May Day or Labor Day. People get days off work. Um, let's see what else. We have, then we would have coming up the summer equinox. I think that would obviously be a holiday. That would be or I'm sorry, the summer solstice. Um, that would be hang on one second. So yeah, this sorry, I got off track there for a second. Anyway, we would distribute the holidays more evenly. Um, we would line up Halloween around the same time. We'd line up Thanksgiving around the same time. I would sort of, and this is the one people would really hate, especially Christmas. Just an idea. Don't kill me. um, as far as I'm aware, Saturnalius and the winter solstice holiday Yule. I would put on December 21st or 22nd, the winter solstice, and I would actually move Christmas back a little bit. Now, if someone can give me evidence for when the Jesus was historically born, I'm willing to debate that. But anyway, that's the basic idea. Y'all get it. We spread out the holidays a little bit. We line them up more with how they feel and how it makes sense. And we start the. I think the best thing is we start the year on the spring equinox. And then, yeah, we have the so I have a couple more notes here. One just says, so we have the 13 months with the 28 days. 13th month has 29 days and then 30. Um And holidays, most often we would try to have them fall on a Friday or a Monday so people would get those days off. And then, like I said, for the 13th month, with these 2 extra days at the end of the year, everybody's off work. It's a big party, time to forgive debts. I could go into more about uh, the holidays and stuff, but we need to come up with the name of one extra month. Oh, one more thing. Okay, so Oct means what? Oct means 8. What month is October right now? It's the 10th month. Why is that? Because I believe it was one of the Roman emperors inserted July and Augustus. I think it was Julius and Augustus Caesar inserted themselves in the middle of the calendar and screwed up the nice names. So I might even remove their two names too, because screw them. So we need to come up with, so we would return September to being the 7th, October to the 8th, November the 9th month, December the 10th month, because it just makes sense. I mean, it's literally in the name. Um, so we need to come up with a couple extra names for months, and we need to come up with a couple extra two days of the week. We need 2 extra days of the week. Anyway, that is basically it. I just made this video just off the top of my head. So I hope y'all enjoyed the video. And if you want, I could do a podcast about this and make a much longer video and collect my thoughts a little bit more. Like I said, I just did this I was like, time to do it. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Um, yeah, you can check out our podcast. We have another channel, the Ethnoco channel. Check it out. We have a podcast about anthropology and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, you let me know your thoughts. I'm sure a lot of this will be controversial. Post in the comments what you think. And yeah, thank you.